Good morning, my dear cohort. I would like to start with a small metaphor. Here is a small bud. So if the bud is not blooming, we don't blame the bud, but we try and change and look for what is causing the bud not to bloom in the environment. We try and bring more sunshine, take it out in the sunshine, or see does it need more water, or give it more nutrients through the soil. In the same way, behavioral assessment for children becomes really important because it impacts the developmental process of a child and adolescent. So, so it's very important at the very beginning to not see any behavior in isolation, but to place it in the context of the environment, and also have multiple sources to actually piece together the different ways and opinions and see what the true picture emerges. So, allowing that process to take place is very important. The topic for today is semi structured clinical interview for children and adolescent. So, the children, the age is 6 to 11 years, and for adolescent, the age is 12 to 18 years. This can be conducted within 60 to 90 minutes. When I think about the term semi-structured, the semi-structured term in itself gives more flexibility about sequencing of topics and tailoring the interview for to incorporate the interaction style of the child. Also, semi-structured interviewing involves more open-ended questions. So there's no yes or no, but more looking at the body language and the opinion and how the child is saying it and what problems or issues are being brought up in the interview. When it comes to the history of it, it was uh, in 1960s, Dr. Achenbach founded this multi-axial system of assessment. So it right from parents' report to teachers' report to cognitive testing, physical assessment, and under direct assessment comes the semi-structured clinical interviewing. Uh, so uh, so if you look at this, so it all of it fits together to give a complete picture of it. But I'm going to today just uh, just like concentrate on the semi-structured interviewing because otherwise it's too vast a topic. um, so there are two forms. The first form is there are 9 basic areas, and I'm going to be posting both the forms on Sakai. There are 9 broad areas on which there are like lots of questions. The questions are marked here, but the questions can go up and down. So right from the report, so there are 9 areas, and it it ranges from activities to friends, how's your peer relationships, family relationships, um, fantasies, what you wish for, self perception and feelings, and parent and teacher reported problems. And for ages of 6 to 11, there's also screening for gross and motor abnormalities. And for the ages of 12 to 18, this is again optional: somatic complaints, alcohol, drug problems, or problems with the law. So this is one form where the observations and are this space for that. And then the second form is actually an observation form, which looks at the body language, actually looks at the behavior, and it's rated from 0 to 3 scale, and also the problems that arose during that were reported during the interview is also incorporated in the second part of this form. Um, so so when I look at this um, uh, system, there's it's got its strengths and limitations, and that's what I'm going to speak to right now. It's very interesting because it specifically says that the interview is supposed to reflect the interaction style of the child. So play and through drawings, if a child is not being able to vocalize certain uncomfortable feelings or thoughts, it comes out, and there's a lot of there's actually specific provision to incorporate that. It's also very strength based, because you don't just look at the problems, you also look at the coping strategies and what are the strengths of the child. It's also a bottoms up gathering process versus the DSM diagnostic top down approach. So that's its strength, and also it relies on multiple data sources, so it gathers from different sources. So then even the clash or the similarities can give a holistic picture about what's really happening. The limitations are, I personally don't like the word problem that's been used overtly, so I feel like the language really needs to change. It's not designed to dictate specific forms of treatment or placement recommendations, and its syndromes do not directly correspond to the DSM or ISD code. When it comes to multicultural norms, the forms have been translated in 100 languages, and also the interesting part is there has been research in 54 societies, and 54 different cultural norms have been incorporated in this. So it's still expanding the research, but at least 54 different multicultural norms have been incorporated. When it comes to gender, the interesting part is that the raw scores for males have been put higher based on research for acting out, for aggressive behavior, and also for attention deficit disorder, which predominantly shows more often has higher scores with male participants. And for females, the raw scores have been placed higher for anxiety and depression. So the research has definitely been incorporated. The case study I would like to right now share with you all is Carl, who is a third grader, and his teacher has referred himself for assessment. Because of his acting out behavior, and he's been not getting along with his peers, his concentration has been poor, and he's been not violating school rules, and there's been a lot of aggression and fights he's been getting into. Also, his mom has been bothered about not being able to handle him at home. So with his mom's permission, he's been referred for assessment. So I'm just going to share a little bit of part of the interview. What During the interview process, there's something called kinetic drawing, where you can share any activity that your family does together. So little Carl actually drew this. So because he cannot spell barbecue really well, he said buffer glue, and that's his house in the background. He's placed himself in the center, almost and his siblings on the side, and his mom was certain distance away. Initially, he didn't put his father, his father or grandmother, in the picture, grandmatter as he calls it, and when the counselor asked, he actually put his biological father there and his grandmatter, but he didn't really bother drawing a figure for them and put them at the fringes, the spatial placement. And on being asked further why he still didn't put his stepfather, he's living with his stepfather and not his biological father, who stays away from the family, because they separated when he was just 3 years old. His parents separated, and Carl started rocking back and forth, and he seemed really anxious. His anxiety level really rose up. His body language was noted, and that he was not making eye contact. And so this became a starting point of looking into the environment whether there was some adjustment problem going on at home, or whether there was what was really going on. So at least it started the dialogue for looking at the environment and why Carl was not really blooming and thriving, because and what was the cause of his acting out behavior, rather than just saying that Carl, you're not blooming, you're not doing well. And so that's it, and thank you for listening to me. Take care.